Hello, welcome. You are listening to Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start Unit 3 Social, Human and Gender Development. First, we have Introduction. In the earlier units of this course, we have learned several important concepts like change, evolution, progress, growth, and development. In this unit, we shall be focusing on the social, human and gender aspects of development. In the second half of the first unit of this course, we have discussed at length the human aspects of development. In the second unit, we have also discussed the various perspectives on change, modernization and development. As a continuity of earlier discussion, this unit begins with a discussion of the objectives of development. Here we discuss how the issues of justice, sustainability and inclusiveness, satisfaction of fundamental human needs, participation of the masses in the development processes, etc., have emerged to be the integral part of contemporary development discourse. Women have always been an important constituency of development. However, impacts of development on women have not always been positive. Rather, many of the developmental practices have put women in a disadvantageous position in the various ways. The impact of ongoing development processes on women, especially intensification of gender inequality, increasing double burden, reinforcing of gender role stereotypes, feminization of labor, increase in women's hardship and drudgery, etc., are outlined in this unit. In recent decades, various perspectives of women development have been thought of. In the last section of this unit, we discussed some of these perspectives. Now let us discuss development as realization of human potential. Development is seen by some as a desirable state of being, and in this sense a developed society often connotates a modern industrial society that enjoys economic well-being as it has reached certain levels of wealth and consumption. Others see development as a vision wherein the center stage is occupied not by levels of production and consumption but by the satisfaction of human needs and potentials. Let us examine some of these visions of development. The first vision is development as an expression of human personality. Dudley Steele, while elaborating on the meaning of development, suggests that while there can be value judgments on what is development and what is not, it should be universally acceptable aim of development to make for conditions that lead to a realization of the potentials of human personality. Sears outlined several conditions that can make for achievement of this aim. The capacity to obtain physical necessities, particularly food, a job, not necessarily paid employment, but including studying, working on a family farm or keeping house. Equality, which should be considered an objective in its own right. participation in government, belonging to a nation that is truly independent, both economically and politically, and adequate educational level, especially literacy. David Cotton, a leading proponent of alternative development, outlines three basic principles of what he calls authentic development. These are justice, sustainability, and inclusiveness. He says development must ensure the following: justice, priority must be given to assuring a decent human existence to all people. The second is sustainability. Earth's resources must be used in ways that assure the well-being of future generations. The third one is inclusiveness. Every person must have the opportunity to be a recognized and respected contributor to family, community, and society. Manfred Max Neef, a Chilean economist and a recognized advocate of human rights and alternative development, disillusioned with the economic growth-based developmental experience of Latin American countries, talks of a new praxis based on development focusing on the satisfaction of fundamental human needs. He calls this human scale development. The other silent features of this model of development are planning with autonomy, growth levels of self-reliance, coherent and balanced independence of people, nature, and technology, balance between the personal and the social, constructive interplay of civil society with the state, and emergence of global processes alongside local activities. The next point is people's development. The people are held to be the principal actors in human scale development, respecting the diversity of the people as well as the autonomy of the spaces in which they must act, converts the present day object person to a subject person in the human scale development. Development of the variety that we have experienced has largely been a top-down approach where there is a little possibility of popular participation and decision making. Human scale development calls for a direct and participatory democracy where the state gives up its traditional paternalistic and welfaristic role in favor of a facilitator in acting and consolidating people's solution following from below. Empowerment of people takes development much ahead of simply combating or ameliorating poverty. In this sense, development seeks to restore or enhance basic human capabilities and freedoms and enables peoples to be the agents of their own development. The next point is participation of the masses. In the process of capitalist development and leading national economic towards integration into foreign markets, even politically democratic states are apt to effectively exclude the vast masses from the political and economic decision making. The state itself evolves into a national oligarchy hedged with the authoritarian and bureaucratic structures and mechanisms that inhibit social participation, and popular action. The limited access of the majority of the social benefits and the limited character of the participation of the masses can often not be satisfactorily offset by the unsuccessful and the weak distributive policies of the government. Powerful economic interest groups set the national agenda of development, often unrepresentative of the heterogeneous and diverse nature of our civil society, making for a consolidation and concentration of the power and resources in the hands of a few. Also, a focus on people and the masses implies that there could be many different roads to development and self-reliance. The slogans human-centered development, the development of people, integrated development all call for a more inclusive and sensitive approach to fundamental social, economic and political changes involved in development, such that all aspects of life of people, their collectivity, their own history and consciousness, and their relations with others make for a balanced advancement. The adoption of the basic needs approach with the concept of endangered development make for a development agenda that is universally applicable while at the same time allowing for country specific particularities to be given due account. Next point is nurturing diversity. The challenge of human skill development is to nurture diversity instead of being threatened by it, to develop processes of political and economic decentralization, to strengthen democratic, indigenous tradition and institutions, and to encourage rather than repress emerging social movements which reflect the people's need for autonomy and space. The fruits of economic development may be distributed more equitably if local spaces are protected, micro-organizations are facilitated, and the diverse collective identities that make up the social body are recognized and represented. Greater control of popular masses over environment is a must. In fact, this concept of development seeks for the civil society rather than the state to own up and nurture development, so that the role of social actors is enhanced. The next point is development as an open process. Human scale development has a vision of real development not as a stage or a state but as a process that encompasses economic, social and technological changes by which human welfare is improved and embellished with its political, cultural and spiritual dimensions. Above all, this conception frees development from any particular specifications and development becomes an open option justifiable only to the extent people need, understand and able to integrate it. Development must become a process in constant motion for human beings themselves as well as their surroundings, which are in permanent motion, a motion that defies static boundaries and frozen directions. Social and human development therefore necessarily requires a unified approach, integrating the economic and social components in plans, policies, and programs for people's betterment. The challenge is to simultaneously integrate sectoral and regional developmental needs, as well as to make for a participative development. These issues of environment, pollution, women, habitat, hunger and employment have become to the fore one by one and continue to require public and institutional attention along with resource allocations. Two major contemporary concerns that require focus in any development issues are that of human security and sustainability. We need to ensure that development does not mean social dislocation, violence, and war, and that we meet the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. Each of these problems is interrelated in complex ways and requires a unified approach. The purpose of development should be to develop man and not to end with developing things. Fulfillment of basic needs of mankind should be the true objective of development, and achievements that either do not contribute to this goal or even disrupt this basic requirement must not be pursued as a development goal. Here we want to close our today's lecture. Thanks for listening.